Hey guys, and welcome to this edition of Scruff's Garage. Today's video hopefully will go pretty quick, but I'm working on my wife's 2015 Acura RDX. I was doing an oil change and a tire rotation. The one thing I still needed to do though was change the transmission fluid. It's been a little while since it's been done on this vehicle. Back when I worked at Honda, now it's been several years ago, but at the time the recommendation was to change the fluid every 30,000 miles. So it's already been done once on this vehicle, but it's due for the second time. So I figured I'd just do real quick. Changing the transmission fluid on these is pretty straightforward. It's just a drain and refill. There's no filter to be changed. So really it's very similar to changing your oil. You drain it out, put the plug back in, and you top it off. System takes about 3.3 quarts of the Honda DW-1 automatic transmission fluid. So you probably want to have maybe 4 quarts on hand. Obviously you won't use all of the fourth quart. Pretty straightforward, but I'll show you where the fill plug is and where the drain plug is. That way if you're doing this service, you know what you're up against. So let's jump into it. Okay, the first thing you want to do is make sure you can get the fill plug to break loose. It's often pretty tight. It's not something that comes in and out very often. So this is kind of on the driver's side of the engine bay, looking down. So you can see my extension. That's the bolt that needs to come out. That's the fill plug to the top of the transmission. It's a 17 millimeter socket to take that out. And just so you have an orientation of where we're looking, this is the driver's side, just behind the air filter, and you can see down in there, that's the bolt we were just pointing to. You'll probably need, so this is a nice long extension. It doesn't have to be quite that long, but this is what the one I had, and it worked very well. And then this is a 3/8 breaker bar. It is in there very tight. It's probably actually not that tight. It's seized in there. So make sure you can get it out before you drain all the fluid out, because if you have any problems getting that fill plug out and you've already drained all the fluid, then you're really in trouble. So do that first, and then once you break it loose, you can leave it loose. Leave the plug in there so you don't get any dirt or debris into the transmission, and move on to draining the fluid. Okay, so this is under the vehicle. You're looking from the passenger side towards the driver's side. That's the driver's side front tire over there. So the transmission drain plug is this here. Is a 3/8 drive. So you can use a ratchet. Alright, and while the transmission fluid is draining, clean off the drain bolt. You'll likely see just a little bit of, this is a metallic magnetic drain plug, so there will inevitably be some metal shavings on there. There shouldn't be anything crazy, but a little fuzz. I don't know how well the camera will focus on that, but not too concerning. That's normal. If you see any big chunks of something, that would be something to be concerned about. There we go. Alright, so we'll let the transmission finish draining, and then we'll put the plug back in. Don't have to go crazy on this. There's a crush washer in there, so it doesn't have to be super tight when you go back together. Should be snug though, so that it doesn't leak. Okay, so the transmission is pretty much finished draining. Put the plug back in. There we go. Like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy tight. This is just aluminum, but you want it tight enough that it seats the that crush washer, and it's not going to leak. So now that this is done, we're ready to put fluid back in it. Okay, so we're ready to fill it up. Obviously take the fill plug out. you'll need a funnel. So I actually have two funnels. It came as a 2-pack. I'll show you the. So this one fits down in there. This space is kind of tight, but there's not an easy way to pour the fluid. I'm just trying not to make a mess. So I'm going to do a double funnel kind of situation here, something like that. I think this would be a little bit easier. So funnel into a funnel, I think will work out. Okay, and then I'll keep adding fluid. Like I said, it takes 3.3 quarts to fill it up after just a fluid change. So I won't make you watch me do that. We'll skip ahead. And then the last step, of course, is to put the that fill plug back in. And of course the same 17mm socket from earlier. And there you go. Just get it snug. Don't want to strip anything. That's aluminum as well, so it doesn't take a lot of torque. One other thing I'll just offer, if you do much work under the hood, one of these Underhood work lights, I'll try to keep the glare out of it. They stretch here and they hook onto either side of the hood. Put out a ton of light. It makes working under the hood much easier instead of trying to drag around a shop light. When I first started, I was just using the work light, and then I realized I had this. And I was like, well, why am I not using that? It's so much better. So yeah, just a tip. I like the ones that will plug in. They'll be brighter indefinitely versus the chargeable kind. They'll be bright for a little while, but then obviously as the battery begins to die, the LED light fades out as well. So, changing the transmission fluid on a Honda or Acura SUV car, they're all pretty much the same. Not too difficult. Should be done basically every 30,000 miles. It's a drain and refill. If you keep up with it, it'll help make sure your transmission lasts a long time. If you haven't done it, say you haven't been doing it every 30,000 miles, and you're at 60 or 90 or more than that, what some people choose to do is to change it several times in a row, because like I said, it's just a drain and fill, so you're not getting everything out of the transmission. So you might change it, then go drive it. You can drive it for a day or drive it for 15-20 minutes, come back, change it again, and then depending on how the fluid looks coming out, if it's still really dark and nasty or smells burnt, you might choose to do it a third time, and that'll kind of get you back on pace. Like I said, this wasn't that condition. The fluid coming out didn't look that bad, didn't have a burnt smell or anything like that. So I'm trying to stay on top of it. It's the wife's vehicle, so I've got to make sure I take care of it. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything about the procedure or what I used, hit me up in the comments. I'll be happy to help with anything that I can. And as always, if you hit like and subscribe, if you enjoy this sort of repair content, please do that as well. So, thanks for tuning in to Scruff's Garage. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.